This is Jack from To Fluency. In this English lesson, you're going to get real phrases, natural conversational English, and listening practice all about sports, workouts, and staying fit. And this is such an important area of English because people talk about this all the time. I'm also going to share some really interesting differences between British and American sport culture, and listen carefully and to the whole episode, because by the end, you're going to have fantastic listening practice, and also you'll be ready to talk about sports and fitness naturally and confidently. Let's start with sports and physical education as a child. So the first term here, physical education. In both the UK and the US, we say PE. PE for physical education. Now, think back to when you were young, let's say 8, 9 or 10, and you were in school. Did you enjoy PE? Did you enjoy PE? Because a lot of people's first experience with sport is PE in school. And I know this has changed a lot to what it used to be like, what it used to be like when I was in school. But what's interesting is that some people will say, I have fantastic memories, or I used to love playing sport at school, and everything is positive, while others hated it. They hated it. And we're going to look at some words and phrases related to childhood sports and physical education. And I'm also just going to talk about this so you can get some really good practice. When I was growing up, we did all different types of sports. So we would do things like rugby, we would play soccer, we would play cricket, we would do gymnastics, and we would do tennis even at times. So we had a lot of practice with this. But then sometimes the one that people didn't look forward to, the one sport that people really just didn't like, and it always seemed to happen in winter, was cross-country running. So this is where you run long distances, usually in the school field. Wednesday was the big day for PE, but I also seem to remember doing it probably twice a week. And we had to wear these really uncomfortable rugby shirts and then shorts. So we just wore rugby shirts and they were so uncomfortable. And if it was raining, they would be really heavy. Now, notice when I'm talking about the past, I'm using would. We would do this. We would do that. And this is another way to say, we used to do this. We used to do that. One interesting feature of PE was teams. And in PE, you used to have two captains, and then they would pick their team. And they would take turns picking different people to be on their team. And you might hear someone say, I was always picked last. I was always picked last, because maybe that person wasn't very sporty. Also, in addition to PE, many people in the UK join sports teams. So they might join a sports club outside of school, but there's also sports teams within the school. And I used to do a lot personally. I was on the swim team. I was on the football, soccer team. I'm just going to call it soccer from now on. I was on the soccer team, and I also was in a soccer club as well. I was on the cricket team for a little while, but then we didn't win many games, so we stopped playing cricket. Oh, I was also on the basketball team too. So a lot of the times I would wake up and go early morning swimming. I would then play basketball at lunch and then have a soccer game in the afternoon. In the US, it's similar. There are lots of different sports teams. For example, a lot of people play soccer growing up here, but also baseball is a big sport for boys, especially, and then gymnastics for girls. It's very popular for girls. Not everyone enjoys sport in the same way. So some kids grow up playing really competitively, while others just play for fun in the backyard or park. And again, I would play outside a lot. So I would play soccer outside in the road in the street, in the backyard, nearly every night. So you might hear people say things like, I have great memories of playing football with my friends. I have great memories of playing football with my friends. And I loved sports as a kid. I was always outside running around. And if it's a negative experience of sport in childhood, then you might say something like, I wasn't very athletic, so I always felt left out in PE class. To feel left out. This means to feel not included. Like people weren't including you in the team and maybe you were picked last. Something else you might hear is, I tried playing baseball, but I was terrible at it. To be terrible at something or to be good at something, meaning that you are good playing that sport or you are terrible playing that sport. So leave a comment telling me what it was like doing PE at your school. What was it like? What sports did you play? Did you enjoy playing sports at school? And how often did you do it? Now, childhood sports can shape us as adults because even if you stop playing sport as an adult, a lot of the childhood experiences can still influence your lifestyle or influence the way you see life. And a lot of people continue playing as well. For example, you might say, I played a lot of tennis as a kid and I still enjoy it now. So I continue to enjoy it now. And maybe things change. So you could say, I wasn't very sporty when I was younger, but now I love going to the gym, or now I love playing sports. In some schools, in some cultures, sport is very important. And a lot of the trainers will train the children to take sport very seriously from a young age, hoping that they're going to become professional athletes. So you can think of either yourself or a friend who, a great term here is to show promise. This person maybe showed promise, which means they had an ability that was really good. And people said something like, oh, you might become a professional hockey player, or you might become a professional baseball player. So if somebody shows promise at an early age, then they might go into advanced programs and go to clubs elsewhere. Whereas a lot of people see sports in childhood as a way to learn how to become a better leader, learn how to become part of a team, and also how to have fun and learn to lose. So let's move on to competitive and professional sports now. And we have some interesting facts and interesting insights about professional sports in the UK and the US. And you'll also learn a lot of good phrases along the way. So for many people, sports are more than just a fun way to stay active or to learn new things. They're also about competition, skill, and passion. Competition, skill, and passion. And some people will train for years to become elite professional athletes. Now, when I was a child, I always dreamed of becoming a professional soccer player. And even at my age, I still dream about that happening, although I know it is not going to happen now. So there are different levels of competitive sport. So you can think about local competitions, things like school teams, recreational teams as well. So let's say you are 35 or someone is 35. They can still play in a recreational way, not a competitive way, in local competitions in baseball, volleyball, soccer, etc. And then there is a difference between semi-professional and professional, because semi-professional athletes, they get paid, but that's not their full-time job. So they might have a place on the local soccer team that travels and plays on a Saturday. They get paid to play, but that's not their full-time job. Whereas professional sports, these are full-time athletes. That is their job. That's what they get paid to do. And with this comes sometimes a lot of money, not all the time, because a lot of professional athletes don't get paid a lot of money. But if you do, and you play professionally for somebody, then you might get paid a lot of money, and also you will be famous. Now, this is an interesting fact and a big difference between the US and the UK, because in the US, college sports are a huge deal. They're a huge deal, which means they're really big, and student athletes can get full scholarships for playing at a high level. And a lot of the American football teams have massive stadiums where 60, 70, 80, 90,000 people will go watch the college team, the university team. Whereas in the UK, university sports aren't as big. They just aren't as popular, nowhere near as big. But the professional club, let's say Arsenal, Manchester United, these are massive, and a lot of the children join academies at a young age. Whereas in the US, people go through the college system before joining the NBA or the NFL, the professional sports leagues. Now, here are some fun phrases to talk about personal experiences in competitive sports. You might say, for example, I used to play in a local football league, but it was just for fun. It was just for fun. And again, we're using this, I used to play. You might know someone who is a professional athlete, and you might say something like this. Oh, I know this person who plays for Liverpool. I'm good friends with this person. Or I used to go to school with this person who now plays for Manchester United. And you might also say something like, I nearly made it pro, but I just wasn't tall enough. Or I wasn't fast enough. Or I wasn't quite good enough. So I nearly made it pro, which means I nearly became a professional athlete. That's not true in my case. So here's an interesting question for this section. Do you know a famous athlete? Or are you a famous athlete? If so, let me know in the comment section below. Here is an interesting part of this section because we're going to talk about how sports can bring people together and how sometimes it can divide them. Now, I'm thinking of a competition, let's see if you can guess what it is, that brings people from all over the world together. And it seems like everyone in the world is watching this at the same time. Now, you might think the Olympics, and that's true, but I'm thinking of the World Cup. And I actually went to a World Cup once, back in 2006. I didn't make it to a game, but I love the atmosphere of being in a city with fans from all over the world from different countries. And it was a great atmosphere. However, it's not always like that when it comes to sports. And when I was growing up, it was quite scary going to soccer games because there would often be trouble at the games, which meant fighting, fans getting on the pitch, and just a really bad atmosphere of going to a soccer game. So a lot of the time it can be quite intense. It can be a lot of trouble can happen. And you'll often get this when it comes to local rivalries. Now, we can think about some of the biggest rivalries in sport. One of the biggest ones is Barcelona and Real Madrid in Spain. We can also think of Celtic versus Rangers in Scotland. And I'm sure you can think of one in your local area or in your country. So let me know what that one is. And this can also be true in terms of division or bringing people together in local leagues. So you can think about if you play sport in your local league, sometimes it's great. The two teams are chatting, there's competition, but there's this sense of togetherness. We're both playing here. Maybe we're not very good, but we're having a good time. Whereas at other times, it can get a little bit tense. It can go over the top, And even though it's not very competitive or it doesn't seem very important, while it's happening, two players can fight or they can argue, and the whole team sometimes can argue. And you can also sometimes see the referees not enjoying it when things go over the top And maybe people are shouting abuse to shout abuse at the referee too. Now, something that I have seen change over a long time is the amount of money in sports and how much more of a business it has become. Because it's not just about competition and sport. Things like football, basketball, boxing, they have become multi-billion-dollar industries. Multi-billion-dollar industries. So some terms we're going to learn here are sponsorship deals to generate millions of dollars, and also endorsements, because we can talk about the top athletes and how they have some of the biggest sponsorship deals in history. And I'll leave a link to some of these stats in the description so you can have a look at just how much sports people earn through sponsorship deals. The biggest sporting event in the US is the Super Bowl, which is the final for American football. And this generates millions of dollars in advertising revenue, mainly because it has the attention of the whole country and everyone is watching it. Now, here's a question for you. Do you think professional athletes are paid too much? Do you think professional athletes are paid too much? Let me know in the comment section below. This next section is all about gym culture and staying fit. And there are some really interesting parts to this, including different attitudes towards fitness in the UK and the US, and also talking about some useful phrases that you can use. Because for many people, staying fit is a big part of life. Now, this could be going to the gym, taking a run in the park, practicing yoga at home. For some people, they love working out, whereas others, they feel like they have to do it to stay healthy. Personally, I really enjoy it, and I like to do things that are fun. So I'll play basketball, soccer, and a sport that's become very popular in the US, pickleball, which is similar to paddle in Europe. Now, here are some sentences you can use to talk about why you want to go to the gym or to get fit. The first one is because people want to stay in shape, to stay in shape. So you might hear someone say, I go to the gym because I want to stay in shape. And to stay in shape means to maintain a good physical condition. You might also go to the gym to build muscle and get stronger, to get stronger. So we're using get here to talk about a change, going from weak to strong, to get stronger. You might also be training for a marathon, and marathon running has become much more popular, and a lot of people want to do this as part of a challenge. And you might also hate exercising, but you do it to lose weight, Now, gym culture has changed over time because in the past, a lot of people mainly went to the gym to lift weights or to run on a treadmill. Now, I find running on a treadmill quite boring, but sometimes I'll do it especially if it's raining or really cold outside. However, fitness is now a huge industry with lots of trendy workout classes. So you can think about things like yoga, CrossFit, and high intensity interval training. These are very big in terms of the fitness trends today. Now, have you tried CrossFit or different types of exercise classes? I know that a lot of gyms have different types of classes. For example, hip hop, dance. They'll also have Peloton as well, where people go on their bikes and do Peloton classes. So what is your favorite type of gym class at the moment? Something I've noticed is that in the US, a lot of people go to the gym early, they go late. People love going to the gym. Whereas in the UK, the gym is popular. But it seems to me, from my experience, that people prefer team sports or outdoor activities instead, even though the weather is terrible. So let's now learn some phrases. These are going to be really useful to describe your workout routine and also gym goals. So you might say something like, I go to the gym 3 times a week, or I go to the gym every Thursday. I go to the gym every day. To talk about how long you've been doing something. You might say something like, I've been on this new workout routine for the past 6 months. To be on something. I've been on this new workout routine for the past 6 months. And if you're not too committed, but you want to do your best, you might say something like, well, I try to jog twice a week. I try to jog twice a week. You have the intention of doing it, but maybe you don't do it every time. And maybe you have a specific goal. So your goal might be to lose 10 pounds before summer. I know a lot of people want to do that. My goal is to lose 10 pounds before summer. Or my goal is to be able to do 5 pull-ups. Now here's a good fun part. Gym stereotypes and gym etiquette. We'll start with the stereotypes because there's always that one guy who grunts loudly when lifting weights. To grunt loudly. This means to make loud noises when working out. You'll also notice, probably in every country in the world now, people who take too many selfies in the mirror instead of working out. So they'll take a selfie in the mirror, or maybe they'll just be on their phone instead of working out. There is some gym etiquette that is big in the US. The first one is always to re-rack your weights after using them. Or you can just say, put your weights back. So let's say you get some weights out, you start lifting. You don't just leave them where they are. You have to put them back after. So to put back means to replace. A gym I used to go to was always busy and it was difficult to get on certain machines. So there's an idea that you shouldn't hog the machines. Hog the machines. Now to hog something means to use something for far too long and not let others use it. So don't hog the machines. Let other people use them too. And if you make a big mess, you should wipe down the equipment after sweating on it. So if you're sweating a lot and you get your sweat all over the machine, you should wipe this down afterwards. Now with sports and activities, and we're on to the next section now, it's not just about playing them. And we touched on this before. It's also about watching and supporting specific teams. So for many people, watching sports is more exciting than playing them, or for some people, they just prefer to watch instead of play. And where I grew up, you support the team your family supports, and you never change. I think this is true in a lot of places, but once you become a fan of a team, they're with you for life. So it's not always your fault that your team always loses. So let's go into this topic now. And also we've got an interesting difference between sports culture in the UK and the US later on. Now, some people watch sport for the action because they love to see the action happen. But for most people, it's about the excitement, the thrill of last minute goals and penalty shootouts. It's also for the community where you can share this experience with friends, family, and other fans. And also for the tradition. So supporting a team can be passed down through generations. Like we talked about before, you support the team your family supports in most cases. So this team is passed down to you through generations. And going to a live game is very different from watching on TV because you can really feel the energy of the crowd. You can be part of that moment, and also watching the action, depending on where you're sitting, is much better too. So here are some common phrases for talking about live sports events. You might say, the atmosphere at the stadium was incredible. So the atmosphere is the mood and the noise and the feeling of a place. The atmosphere at the stadium was incredible. The crowd went wild when we scored. The crowd went wild when we scored. To go wild means to become very excited. And we had great seats. To have great or good or terrible seats. We had great seats right behind the goal, so we could see everything. I've been to sports events a lot in the UK and also in the US, and there are big differences here. Now, in the UK, in England, football fans will often sing throughout, and they're also very focused on the game. So they watch every kick, every movement, and the crowd is very involved in the game. Whereas in the US, it seems like there's a lot more emphasis on entertainment. So I went to a big basketball game and there's music playing all the time. They were constantly throwing things into the crowd, constantly entertaining the crowd with different competitions and things that were happening. And it wasn't so much a focus on the game, it was more a focus on the extra things that were happening around the game. So tell me, what was the last sporting event you went to and what was it like? Just leave a comment in the comment section below. After a game is often when you'll talk about it and give your opinion on the game. And you can say things like and use past modal verbs like, for example, oh, he should have scored at the end. He should have scored at the end. He didn't score, but he should have scored. And it would have been a different game if he had been sent off. So let's imagine a player should have been sent off. He did something bad, but the referee didn't see it. You can say, we would have won the game if he had been sent off. So that is a conditional sentence. Now, talking about a win, you might say, oh, we smashed them. We smashed them 4-0. Now, to smash a team means to win easily. And maybe your team was losing, but then you won the game. You can say, that was an amazing comeback. That was an amazing comeback. So a comeback means to win after being behind. And talking after a loss, you might say, we got destroyed. We got destroyed today, which means we lost in a big way. Or you might say, we were winning, but we threw it away in the second half. We threw it away in the second half. To throw something away means to lose after having an advantage. Let's now talk about some quotes around passion and the love of sports. And I like some of these quite a lot. So the first one is this. It is, you have to love what you do to want to do it every day. You have to love what you do to want to do it every day. And this is from Serena Williams. And this means that success requires passion. And if you love your sport, then you'll do it even when it's hard. And you can think about how this applies to anything in life, not just sports. So when you enjoy your workouts, staying fit becomes a lot easier. That is why, personally, I like to do things I enjoy: basketball, soccer, and pickleball. Now, Pelé, the Brazilian football legend, the most famous soccer player ever, probably, said, the more difficult the victory, the greater the happiness in winning. The more difficult the victory, the greater the happiness in winning. Which means that winning feels better when you've worked hard for it. And overcoming challenges makes success more rewarding. Now, this is one of my favorite new quotes, and it's this. Winning isn't everything, but wanting to win is. Winning isn't everything, but wanting to win is. And this is from Vince Lombardi, an American football coach. And it's saying that the desire to succeed is more important than the result. And even if you lose, trying your best is what matters most. So this is a quote I've never heard before. I researched it for this lesson, and I love it. Winning isn't everything, but wanting to win is. Now, you might hear some cliches when it comes to sport and about hard work and effort. Now, you'll often hear things like, no pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. Which means that you have to work hard and endure discomfort to achieve success. Do you agree with this? No pain, no gain. Another one is practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. You'll often hear this a lot. And this means the more you practice, the better you become. And one I hear quite a lot is leave it all on the field. Leave it all on the field, which means you need to give your maximum effort during the game. And another one, which is very, very common, is give 110%. Give 110%, which means to try your hardest. And even though 110% is impossible, people say this for motivation. Have you heard these sport cliches, these motivational statements before? If so, let me know in the comment section. And also, give me another one if you know one. Fantastic. What to do now is go to the description and get all of these quotes, and then watch another lesson. They are on your screen now. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.